On the show tonight, whatever happened to Banda Aceh, a city the size of Auckland flattened by a tsunami 1 year on. Cameraman Geoff Mackley returns to see how his Indonesian friends are recovering from that Boxing Day tsunami. We give the hangman in Singapore the widest possible berth, and we go instead to Banda Aceh. It's almost a year since the Boxing Day tsunami tore through Thailand, Sri Lanka, India and Indonesia, killing an unknown number of people, but thought to be somewhere in the region of 300,000. Our cameraman Geoff Mackley was one of the first Westerners into Banda Aceh after the tsunami hit. His pictures of the devastation went right round the world. Last week he went back to the province and to its people to see how they're getting on, and this is his very personal accounts.
This is what I saw when I came to Banda Aceh in Sumatra a week after last year's Boxing Day tsunami. It was a city the size of Auckland turned into a pile of rubble. We're about a mile inland from the sea in Banda Aceh, and this is the roof of a two-storey house. And as you can see, all along here, flood debris, pieces of building, and we're 20 feet up from the ground. So it gives you some idea of how high the tsunami was when it came through here. Pretty much flattening everything as far as the eye could see in every direction. It's just staggering, really. There were reminders everywhere of how high the water had reached. Coming into the city, I saw it in the white line at the bottom of the hills. And later, on the wall of this destroyed cement works. In a dead-end alley like this, it was easy to imagine the power of the waves surging through. This was your house?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the day my interpreter, Anwar, returned to his family home for the first time since the tsunami.
House, no problem, but family, I don't know where they are.
I see some terrible things through my viewfinder, but while I can use my camera to pass on to people what I see and hear, it's useless when it comes to smell, and the smell of death was everywhere. Well, I'm back in Banda Aceh. It's been 11 months since the tsunami hit, and I'm just back here to see what kind of progress the locals have made in reconstructing their city. I was amazed by the scale of the cleanup, and it felt like life was getting back to normal. But away from the main street, there are still plenty of reminders of the tsunami. This barge is stranded 7 kilometres inland. It's now an unofficial memorial of the tsunami. It's impossible to move it, and the road was built around it. Part of my reason to come back to Aceh was to catch up with Anwar, my interpreter. This is his first trip back home since our last visit. This part of the city is still like a ghost town. It's as if time stopped when the tsunami struck.
I just found it, my sister had scarf.
The only things growing here are weeds and decay.
My sister and my brother and her couple children missing, gone with the tsunami, and nobody found it, their corpses. 40 members of my family were gone also.
Anwar's tragic story is a familiar one. This empty field looked very different this time a year ago as I watched dump trucks loaded with dead bodies queue up to dump their grim cargoes into a deep pit that had been dug on this site. There are an estimated 60,000 people buried here, and this is just one of 5 mass grave sites here in Banda Aceh. This woman prays for her family. The real death toll may never be known. But the Indonesians, a people so used to hardship and instability, rebuild their lives slowly. And just as slowly, they rebuild the devastated city around them. After the tsunami, the main bridge that connected Banda Aceh to the rest of Sumatra was destroyed. For months, the only way across the river was by raft. But now this bridge has been replaced, another small step in the region's recovery. But from the air, it's obvious little has changed. I flew over the ruined city with Auckland pilot Leo Hume. Houses of all sizes once crammed the Aceh province, Today, much of this area is still flooded, making the land permanently uninhabitable. Once again, the white line shows where the bush has been swept clean off the cliffs. Hume's been here since August, flying aid representatives around the province for Christian organisation Mission Aviation Fellowship.
I met a man here in Banda Aceh a few weeks ago. We were looking for an address, and we got talking to him, and he went to the market at 9 o'clock in the morning. When he came home, his wife, his 5 children and his house were all gone. And he told me he cried for 3 days. And that sort of thing really gets into your heart, you know, it can't help but affect you. And I guess that's why we're here, to help people like that, to try and put their lives back together a little bit. It'll never ever be the same for thousands of people here in Aceh province.
The work of people like Leo Hume is crucial to getting Banda Aceh back to something approaching normality. But even more important is the amazing resilience and spirit of the Indonesians. People like my interpreter, Anwar, who's just got married and despite everything is still optimistic about the future. I've covered more than 70 natural disasters around the world, but I haven't seen anything that compares to the scale of this one. It makes you realise that despite how technologically advanced we have become, when nature runs amok, there is truly nothing we can do to stop it.
Geoff Mackley from Banda Aceh. Coming up in the programme, an Irish immigrant